Guys, what's up? Welcome to a brand new review, and my New Year's resolution this year is to check out more documentaries, because that's something that I've been kind of getting into, but never, satisfactorily got into, and I have another documentary review today, and that's for Chris Claremont's X-Men. Now, this is a documentary about Chris Claremont. If you don't know who he is, he's pretty much he's revolutionized the X-Men comics. These are the reason, most of the famous X-Men comics are because of him. And this is a guy that I didn't really know about. I always heard the name, but I never knew much about him. I mean, when we think X-Men, we think Stan Lee, we think Marvel. We don't think Chris Claremont. And after seeing this documentary, it completely changed my mind. The guy's a visionary, just creative mind. And I loved seeing that in this film. And this documentary is insane. I cannot explain how much I recommend seeing this film, especially if you're a fan of the X-Men, especially if you're a fan of comics. I think if you already know more about him, then this might not do much for you, but for someone who doesn't, this is a very informing documentary that I think works on tons of levels. And I think the way that it's told can be a little boring at times. The documentary style can be kind of like one of those documentaries you sit down in school to watch, but at the same time, it's not. At the same time, it's very informative, and if this is your type of stuff that you want to know more about, then this is the type of documentary that you should check out, because it's told very well, the pacing's very unique, and it goes through, it starts the story, lets you know who he is, lets you know how he got into this business, which is insane. I don't want to get into spoilers, because I really think it's interesting for you to just watch and figure out, but the way that he got into Marvel and all this is just so creative, and his mind, the way his mind works is also very unique. It's so there's a part in here where he's telling about how he'll make these X-Men comics and he won't tie up any stories for years. And the way that he does it, sometimes he'll run out of ideas and he's like, well, what am I supposed to do? And someone will be like, why don't you just go to one of the other storylines you never finished? He's like, brilliant idea. And that's a really brilliant storytelling, unique thing that you could see inside a book or see inside a comic that sometimes we do see in TV shows today, where it's a risk of a creator and a creative mind to do that, but at the same time it works for that, and I appreciate that on such a high level that I loved seeing how this guy's mind operated. I mean, the guy's he's created stuff. He created the Dark Phoenix saga, which we're getting later this year, and now I want to go read that comic because the comic seems so interesting to see how they changed it. And then another one that they happen to do is X-Men's Days of Future Past, which that's probably, a lot of people argue that's probably the best X-Men movie, but hearing how he tells the comic books, and for him, one of the main things he always talks about is when he's creating new characters, he's like, well, why can't this character become a girl? And that's something cool to see, because nowadays we have a lot of complaints that there's not enough women in film, and there's not enough women in comics, and just that we're not getting enough representation. Obviously, we got Wonder Woman last year, but that's cool, and he's one of the people that created Kitty Pryde, who, if you don't know who Kitty Pryde is, I really hope that we get a solo film with Kitty Pryde, because I think Kitty Pryde is one of the most unique characters to the X-Men, and he's created her and gave her storylines, and it's just such a unique story. He's the reason that Magneto, he gave depth to Magneto, gave him the Auschwitz kind of background history that we get to see in these films that are adapted from the comic books. This guy created some of the best stuff from the X-Men comics, and that's such a great story that I cannot recommend this documentary enough. I think this documentary is superb. I think it's very well done. Like I said, the documentary style, the way it's told, can be a little bit boring, something out of a high school that you'd see, but I mean, that's how documentaries usually are, but it keeps your attention, especially if you're a fan of comic books, if you're a fan of just the X-Men in general, and you don't know much about the back history. I cannot recommend this documentary enough, so make sure to go check out Chris Claremont's X-Men documentary. I recommend it. I think it's on VOD now. I know it's expanding to other places, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be hitting VOD soon. Actually, it might be coming out on the 6th, which was yesterday, so make sure to check that out, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Make sure to check out more reviews soon. And also, I can't wait to see what the next documentary. If you guys have any documentary things that you guys think I've missed and haven't checked out, please comment down below and let's hear about it. And of course, until next time, stay glassy.